New construction in Davie, Florida is one of the most compelling options in the $1.5 million price range right now. Picture this. You walk into a model home, everything is perfect. The ceilings are high, the kitchen is exactly what you envisioned. The finishes, they're flawless. You want it. But before you sign anything, there are 4 specific things that the builder's team is not going to proactively tell you. Not because they're dishonest, because it's not their job to protect your interest. Let's go. The first thing. The agent who's sitting at the welcome desk or in the model home has a fiduciary duty to the builder, not to you. They are required to be honest with you, but they are not required to proactively protect your interests. At $1.5 million and up, that difference is not a technicality. This is the framework that sets up your entire transaction. Here's how this usually plays out. You ask about the CDD, they quote you a number. You ask about the HOA, they quote you a number. But nobody at that table is responsible for stacking your monthly mortgage payment, your Broward County estimated taxes, and your insurance to show you the true monthly carrying costs. That isn't their job. That math is all you or your agents. Let me be specific about what a buyer's agent actually does inside of a new construction transaction. Your agent reviews the purchase contract before you even sign it. Builder contracts are written by the builder's legal team, and they are written, of course, to protect the builder. Deadlines, deposit structures, what happens if the construction is delayed, and what your cancellation rights are. A buyer's agent is going to flag every clause that puts either your timeline or your deposit at risk. Your agent is also going to run through the concession conversation strategically, coordinate the pre-closing inspection, and can advise you on a title company. Because in Florida, you have the right to choose your own title company, and this title company, based on the purchase price, has real costs. And none of that's going to happen if you walk in alone. Which brings me to the most important logistical point of this entire video, especially if you're relocating. If you walk into that model home or sales center without having your agent registered as your representative, many of the builders in Florida won't allow them to be added later. Some builders have a 24 to 48 hour grace period, while others have zero tolerance. If you toured without your agent present, you may have just given up your right for professional representation on a 7-figure purchase. And unfortunately, this happens more than you think. A buyer spends months researching a community. They fly into Davie on a random Saturday. They decide out of curiosity to walk into the sales center, and next thing you know, they're navigating a multi-million-dollar contract without an advocate at their table. Before you visit any new construction in Davie or new construction anywhere in South Florida or as a whole in general, make sure you get representation locked in first. That's going to be the first move, and it costs you nothing. The second thing is the number you see on the sign outside, or maybe you've seen it in a big banner driving by. It's not going to be the number that you spend. When you walk into a model home, see, you're not walking into some basic home. You're walking into the fully upgraded version. The flooring, the countertops, the cabinetry, the lighting, the sound system, the smart home technology. You're seeing the premium package. The base price is going to be a version of that home that is materially different. This isn't deceptive. It's just how model homes work. But relocators coming from markets where new construction prices work differently consistently underestimate how fast that number changes. Let's give you a realistic picture of the cost stack. You start with the base price. Then you add a lot premium based on if you want a corner or even a larger lot. Then if you want a lake view or cul-de-sac. Then you add structural options. Extended lanai that's covered, an extra garage bay, impact windows that are above standard specifications. Then you have your interior selections, flooring, cabinetry, countertops, plumbing fixtures, and lighting. In a Davie community at this price point, the gap between what you see and what you want could run between another $150,000 to $250,000 or more. Then on top of that, you have carrying costs. Have you heard about the CDD? In Broward County and a lot of South Florida, most new construction carry a CDD, which is a Community Development District Assessment. Say that 3 times fast. This is a government-backed program used to pay back the bonds that finance the infrastructure of your community. Roads, utilities, amenity center. It's going to appear on your annual tax bill, and it does not resolve quickly. On roughly a $1.5 million home, it could add between $5,000 to $15,000 annually per year to your carrying costs. Then we have your HOA on top of that, and after that, property taxes. In Broward County, that $1.5 million purchase price is likely to be assessed near full value in the first year. At roughly a 1% effective rate, you're looking around $15,000 for that first year as your tax bill before exemptions. If this is going to be your primary residence and you do file for homestead, of course it's going to reduce the amount of tax liability that you have, and it's also going to cap future increases. So now you stack the mortgage, the CDD, the HOA, the property taxes, the insurance, and you have your total monthly carrying costs. That's going to be the payment that you need to stress test before you go and fall in love with the model home, not the price that's on the sign or the billboard. Now Come closer, because this is where it gets interesting. You're not going to out-negotiate a national builder on base price. That's not how this works. But most buyers walk away from significant money because they didn't know where to actually push. Builders protect their base price for a specific reason. Every closed sale in that community, same as it is for resales, becomes a sales comparable. If they discount the base price on one transaction, they risk pulling down the appraised value of every other home that they're trying to sell. Their pricing strategy protects their own inventory. But incentives, they operate differently. Builders at the 1.5 million price point and up in Davie and Greater Broward actually generally offer closing cost credits, interest rate buydowns through their preferred vendors, prepaid HOA fees, and also design center credits that you can use towards finishes and upgrades. The mix changes by community and by month, but these options are on the table far more than buyers realize. And most buyers never ask because they walked in focused on the number that the builder wasn't going to move on anyway. Those are the ones that are typically unadvertised, and most buyers, again, never ask for them. In Davie, single-family home communities at this price point seem to be moving fast. Inventory is limited, and the homes are not sitting. This is going to change how you approach the incentive conversation. While you can't quite afford to wait for the perfect date on a calendar, what you can do is come in prepared, know what options you can leverage, and have that conversation early while the builder is still trying to complete their sellout. A community with more homes left to sell is always going to be more flexible than one that has backup offers or a waiting list. The buyers who capture the most value are not the ones who typically waited, they're just the ones who showed up most informed. The point is that at this price point in Davie, most buyers leave tens of thousands of dollars of potential incentives and credits untouched because they didn't know to ask or how to ask. That money exists. It just lives in closing cost credits, interest rate buydowns, and design center credits. And that usually only happens when you make it a real conversation. If you want to know exactly what to ask the builder before you sign, that's one of the things we go over in our strategy call, link in the description. And for our last one, this is the one I want you to sit with the longest. As long as the builder is still selling homes in your community, they're effectively controlling your home's resale value based on those comps. And that's the cleanest way I know how to say it. Here's what that means in real numbers. You buy the house at 1.5 million in a new construction community in Davie. 2 years later, something happens in your life and you need to sell. Your agent pulls the comps. The most recent and most relevant sales are other comparable properties in your community. But the builder is still actively selling phase 2 and 3. But here's the thing. They're not reducing the price. Instead, they're offering $50,000 in closing credits, rate buydowns to move the inventory without touching the sales price. But the real effective price that those buyers paid with incentives was around $1.44 million. Your competition then becomes a new construction home with a new builder warranty and $50,000 in incentives. You have a 2-year-old home with none of that. That gap is going to be your problem to solve, and you're solving it that gap is going to be your problem to solve, and you're going to have to solve it with the developer still controlling inventory. Thankfully in Davie, the market is a little different. Single-family homes are in demand. While I can't predict the future, it's highly unlikely based on the numbers I'm seeing in these new construction now that you're going to have the same experience. But anything can happen. And it's important to note that it's not just happening, or this is not how new construction happens, whether it's in Davie or Greater Broward. It's just how new construction works overall. But it matters more, especially in this price point, because the financial exposure, if you do need to sell before the community absorbs, is significant. There are 2 ways to think about it practically. First, look where the community is in the sellout cycle before you buy. A community that is 80% sold is a very different resale risk than one that just opened and is in phase 1. The builder's influence on your comps have a shorter runway. Second, and also this is a common theme in our strategy sessions, is be honest about your home ownership horizon. New construction in Davie at $1.5 million and up as a 7 to 10 year hold is a much different conversation than a 2 to 3 year plan. Builders need to recoup their investments fast, so the risk profile shifts dramatically. And you need to know your actual timeline before that deposit hits the table. The buyers who get hurt are the ones who buy new, assume the same resale flexibility as an established Davie neighborhood, and still try to sell while the developer has inventory. Know the timeline, know your horizon, then decide. New construction in Davie at the 1.5 million and up is a real option, and for the right buyer, makes complete sense. The product is strong, and the communities being built right now are worth serious consideration. 2 of my favorites are Turnberry and Marigold. But make sure when you walk in, that you walk in knowing who that agent works for. Know the cost stack before you tour the model home. Know where the real concession conversation lives, and know how long that you're prepared to hold before the builder's comp story becomes your financial exposure. If you are relocating to Davie and you want to have a conversation about if new construction makes sense for your timeline and your goals, my link is in the description. I'm not here to sell you on something, I'm just here to provide massive value. And of course, I hope that you would choose me. However, I just love real estate and I want to make sure your move is as seamless as possible. If this video gave you some value, please hit subscribe, like, and then again, thank you for watching. My name is Anthony Spitaleri, living in Davie, only in Davie. I appreciate you and I will see you on the next one.